Have you ever looked at a roller coaster and been like, wow, this ride looks like that one, or this ride feels similar to that one? Well, there's a good chance they were manufactured by the same company. In this introductory video, we will be taking a broad dive into the main roller coaster manufacturers. One of the best parts about a roller coaster are the manufacturers who design and build them. This will be a surface level crash course style of video to get you familiar with the popular coaster manufacturers. I'll briefly cover some of their models, how to identify their track, and I'll give a star rating out of 5 for price, innovation, capacity, reliability, and roughness. Up first, Aerodynamics. Aerodynamics is a defunct manufacturer that is well known for being one of the greatest coaster innovators of all time, and they helped roller coasters become what they are today. Their first roller coaster was the Matterhorn bobsleds at Disneyland in California back in 1959, and their last coaster was X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain in 2002 before the company went bankrupt. Aero is largely attributed to inventing the first modern-day roller coaster by using steel tubular track on the Matterhorn bobsled ride. All modern-day roller coasters would use a similar design with wheel assemblies covering 3 sides of the track for stability. Aero made the first ever launch coaster in 1977 with Demon at Kings Island, the first ever inverted coaster with their suspended coaster model in the Bat at Kings Island, and they pioneered the first modern inversion with Corkscrew at Knott's Berry Farm, and built hundreds of loopers across the world. From cookie cutter copy and paste rides to custom loopers, breaking the inversion record again and again and again and again. In 1989, they debuted the first ever hyper roller coaster with Magnum XL 200 at Cedar Point. Aero also invented the first 4D coaster model in 2002 with X2 at Six Flags Magic Mountain. This model was so expensive and unreliable initially that it was one of the major factors that contributed to the company's downfall. Additionally, they were slow to implement change and switching to designing coasters on computers back in the 1990s and early 2000s. Rather, they would use the same exact inversions on ride models in different orders, but this would get stale quickly. As new manufacturers came up in the 90s challenging their control of the market, like Intamin and B&M, Aero quickly declined in relevancy in the late 90s, until going bankrupt for good in 2001. Aero's track is quite iconic as it has that U-style spine with the track pieces welded together. Aero rides are very janky with poor transitions for the most part, due to everything being designed and calculated by hand. These also often have poor restraints, so many of the rides can be pretty rough nowadays. Their reliability and capacity are second to none, however, even on most of their older rides today. In my opinion, only Intamin can measure up to their level of innovativeness of aerodynamics. Creativity and breakthroughs that Aero brought to the industry are second to none. The cost of an Aero coaster was also very reasonable compared to other manufacturers during the same time period in the 90s. They may be gone, but their rides and their legacy remains. It is certain that the roller coaster industry would look much different today if it weren't for aerodynamics. Now on to CCI, or Custom Coasters International. CCI is also a defunct manufacturer that were based out of Westchester, Ohio. Their first roller coaster was Kingdom Coaster at Dutch Wonderland in Pennsylvania back in 1992. They went bankrupt while building their last coaster in New Mexico Rattler back in 2002. CCI specialized in thrilling wooden coasters with intense layouts, laterals, and airtime. They are known for some of the best wooden roller coasters that were built back in the 90s and early 2000s. Some of these include Ghost Rider at Knott's Berry Farm, The Legend at Holiday World, Shivering Timbers at Michigan's Adventure, The Boss at Six Flags St. Louis, among several others on the screen. Ever since disbanding, engineers from CCI formed Gravity Group, so in essence they are still around today. Their track looks like most older, bigger Woodies. There wasn't much innovation happening with older wooden coasters 20 plus years ago, but the rides were quite fair for the price, reliable, and had good capacity. Some of their rides that were retracked like Ghost Rider are quite smooth, but others can be pretty rough like the Boss is currently today. Speaking of CCI, based out of Cincinnati, Ohio, we have the Gravity Group, which was formed by the engineers of the defunct company CCI. Gravity Group has been bringing the wooden coaster industry to the modern era since 2005 by adding incredible elements such as overbanked turns, strong airtime hills, and was the first to normalize inversions on wooden coasters by adding inversions to Hades 360 at Mount Olympus. They began with large, intense woodies like the Voyage at Holiday World, one of the best wooden roller coasters in the world, Ravine Flyer 2 at Waldemere, Mindblower at Funspot Kissimmee, and various other wooden coasters around the world. Recently, they have been adding family wooden coasters to many parks, such as the ones you see on screen. Their track looks like traditional wooden track, but the elements and airtime are stronger than that of most older wooden roller coasters listed. And Gravity Group rides built after 2011 will likely have their Timberliner trains, so that's how you can kind of identify which ones are a Gravity Group. Gravity Group is relatively innovative by bringing wooden coasters into the modern era by introducing inversions again, making family wooden coasters that people of all ages can enjoy, and by making wooden coasters with strong and sustained airtime. Their capacities depend on how many rows and trains they have, but it's average and is respectable. Due to the intense nature of the rides, and the rides being made out of wood, their rides can become really rough if a park doesn't stay on top of maintenance. Price for a Gravity Group is relatively inexpensive up front, but track work needs to be periodically done to keep the rides running well. Next up, we have Intamin. Intamin, based out of Liechtenstein, is one of the most innovative manufacturers in the world and makes some of the best roller coasters in the world. They make all kinds of coasters and are not afraid of any project. They started with Wilderness Run at Cedar Point back in 1979 and grew huge ever since. While Intamin likely has the most diverse portfolio of any manufacturer, they are most famous for their innovative launch technology and record-breaking rides. Cedar Point, for example, has Millennium Force, which was the tallest roller coaster in the world and first roller coaster to break 300 feet. Top Thrill Dragster, of course, again the tallest and fastest roller coaster in the world at the time. And Maverick, showing that you don't need a super fast or super tall ride in order to build a thrilling experience that people will enjoy. And also don't forget Wicked Twister either. Wicked Twister was also built by Intamin at Cedar Point. Currently, Intamin's multi-launch models have caught the community by storm. Velocicoaster at Universal's Islands of Adventure, Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, as well as many others in parks in Europe, have received high praise. Other major rides of theirs include Intimidator 305, defunct Volcano the Blast Coaster at King's Dominion, Accelerator at Knott's Berry Farm, Skyrush, Storm Runner, and Fahrenheit at Hershey Park, and of course El Toro and King Ka at Six Flags Great Adventure, and various others on screen. As for the track, most of their coasters have that famous triangular, or the older ones have that square truss structure. It looks like this on screen. They are one of, if not the most innovative coaster manufacturer that's still around today. Unfortunately, due to the nature of innovation and intense ride experiences, most Intamins suffer from fairly poor capacity due to short trains and low reliability, meaning that their rides often go down for maintenance. Most Intamins are extremely smooth though. Rides and parts from this company are notoriously expensive, so parks pay a hefty price for one of these, and only major parks can really afford an Intamin. Speaking of rides that aren't very affordable, we also have B&M. The Swiss manufacturer B&M makes world-class steel roller coasters with incredible capacity and reliability. They tend to stay within their comfort zone and stick to their bread and butter that they know how to do extremely well. They began making stand-up coasters in 1990 with Iron Wolf at Six Flags Great America. While stand-up coasters have not stood the test of time, haha, get it? That was a really bad pun. They basically monopolized another model during that time, the B&M Invert. Almost every park has one of these. Here are a bunch listed on screen. Some of the notable ones are Raptor at Cedar Point, Banshee at Kings Island, Nemesis at Alton Towers, and Montu at SeaWorld Orlando. Other popular models that they have are the Hyper Coaster. These smooth airtime-filled rides are littered across Europe and the US and are listed on screen once again. And they have made 3 Gigacoasters for Cedar Fair: Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland, Orion at Kings Island, and Fury 325 at Carowinds, one of the best steel coasters in the world and arguably B&M's best ride. They have come out with a few other really popular models over the past couple decades as well, including the Flying Coaster. This is a take on Vekoma's old Flying Dutchman model, the Wing Coaster, and the Dive Coaster, located at many parks across the world. This track is easily identifiable as it looks the same on all of their models. It has a large square column running along the track and the spines attached to the rails. B&Ms also have that famous B&M roar, as you call it, when the rides go down big hills. It sounds really cool. B&M tends to not be very innovative, and they tend to stick to what they know best and take innovation inspiration from other manufacturers overall. B&M probably has the best capacity and reliability of any manufacturer in operation to date. Most B&Ms can churn through really long lines of people all day and hardly ever break down. Most B&Ms are exceptionally smooth, Once in a while, an older B&M can have a bit of a rattle, but it still doesn't affect the ride experience too much in my opinion. Parks know what they're getting when they're buying a B&M. They're getting something with high capacity and reliability and low maintenance costs, so it comes with an extremely high price tag, unfortunately. Not a lot of parks can afford a B&M or an Intamin for that matter. So that is all for the first of this coaster manufacturer's Crash Course 3-part series. It's not always easy identifying a ride manufacturer, so another great resource is RCDB, the largest roller coaster database. The link will be in the description. It can also be easy to identify a manufacturer based on their trains or their restraints, which are almost always the same as the manufacturer of the ride. I'll be making another series covering each manufacturer in depth that I covered in this video, their models and their history, so be sure to subscribe and stay tuned for that in the future. That way, if a particular manufacturer interests you, you can learn more about them. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and consider subscribing. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can always change your mind. I will have plenty of awesome coaster content coming in the future, so I hope you have a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in the next one.